Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Project Esports for December 17th, 2018. And I guess it's kind of a sad day. May break down crying. Who knows? We'll see if I make it to the day. But it's going to be our last episode of 2018 officially. I'll talk a little bit more in housekeeping. We have more content coming out this year. Do not worry. But with next year being Christmas Eve, a lot of us will be celebrating. And then the week after that, it'd be New Year's Eve. It just doesn't kind of work out. The Mondays just happen not to be very well for us. So it is going to be the last one, and we'll be returning whatever that first Monday in January is. But today we still have a lot of esports to talk about. We're going to be going back, kind of looking at 2018, kind of our little year in review, what we kind of feel about that. But beyond that, how are you two guys doing today?
I just woke up, so I'm very tired, but I'm feeling good, feeling great.
Same, except I got a bunch of food in me beforehand, so I'm ready to go. I'm all hyped.
I'm just running off a ton of Taco Bell right now, and I'm feeling it.
It's amazing.
I could eat that way too much, but it's not good for me because I've just been eating out because I do not want to buy more groceries because I move tomorrow. So if anything does go up later or anything like that, that is my bad. I'm moving right now. Next time I will be in a new place, hopefully outside of Wisconsin. But
tell them where you're moving, Andrew. Tell them where you're moving right now.
No, I'm moving right now. I'm moving into with my parents.
Yeah, that's
hopefully I'm moving to Denver in the long term though. But let's start getting closer and closer to the actual esports content that you guys care about. But I want to get through our housekeeping. So first off, James has another interview coming out this week. He has been putting in a lot of work. Tell us who you're interviewing with and a little bit of what you guys talked about.
I interviewed Sean Vilbins. He's the head coach for the T-Wolves Gaming. They actually just announced their logo not too long ago. Sean was a blast interview. This dude is so he's 39. He's a family of, I believe, 3. I think that's what the grand number came down to. And we kind of talked about how he kind of deals with being one of the older guys in the esports scene. He's the head coach and GM for T-Wolves Gaming. And the guy's great. He's well traveled, well experienced, and he's going to see how that transitions over into esports.
Yeah, no, and I was originally supposed to do that, and I'm kind of sad I didn't get to do that because he does seem like an awesome guy.
Oh yeah, he's great.
I see the streams lagging a little bit, so I'm just kind of closing out things as we're going, trying to fix that a little bit. But yeah, on top of that, we have that awesome interview coming out on Wednesday. That'll be released about the same time as last week, when the interview with Moody came out. And on Thursday, we just finished last night recording the final episode of the Project Rankings Overwatch League branding videos. That's going out. It's going to be a little longer than normal because we went through all 8 of the expansion teams. And to be honest with you, it is not how I thought it was going to end up. The scores are very much different than what it's going to be, so that's going to be great. And like I said, since this is our last episode, but we still have a couple things to kind of wrap up. One, we have the Prediction King. We still need to crown that. That will be some time done before the end of the year. We're going to be working on that pretty soon, recording that, and that'll be published hopefully next Monday in exchange of our episode next week. And we're also recording in 2019 predictions, kind of like what we did at the beginning of this year, but going into 2019, and that'll play into next year's very first bets for the Prediction King. Let's just jump right into the first story, James. I'm going to kind of hand it back over to you. China's been up and down for esports, but it sounds like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, so I think I had a freak out last week where there was an article that came out that both Fortnite and PUBG were going to be banned in China. This, of course, made me lose my friggin' mind. I was like, oh my god, they're policing esports. This is ridiculous. It's actually happening. And then I think it was actually yesterday the article actually came out that it was okay, that wasn't source material. There are, to my knowledge, 20 games being under ethical review.
It's the Chinese ethical committee or something too.
They have a committee. Yeah,
it's a government body that they form to look over video games, which is wild. But go on.
Yeah, the Online Game Ethics Committee.
Yes.
They're the ones who kind of overview all of this. But Tencent basically said in perfect world aren't their games included on the list. So with Tencent, that means pretty much nothing, no major esports there, because Tencent has their hand in everything. So I think that covers Fortnite because they own Epic. It covers Overwatch because they're owned by Overwatch is owned by Blizzard, which is owned by Tencent. Or Activision, which is owned by Tencent. None of the games that we really need to are big and everybody really cares about and focused on are like under fire. Games like yeah, they even list off League of Legends, PUBG, FIFA, Crossfire, Dota,
Dota, CS:GO,
CS:GO.
like
Yeah, like I
all the
mean, like
tier ones are safe.
yeah, pretty much.
And then a handful of tier twos as well. So that's sitting pretty. I mean, I don't think there's too much more in that article when I was kind of looking over it, right? I mean, I know a lot of us, we were freaking out. I was talking about, like, even just in the Slack channel when we were talking about, like, if losing China is a big hit. I mean, we'll talk about later in the show.
Yeah.
But, like, Worlds 2018 had the biggest record ever. A lot of that's because of the Chinese audience. I mean, this Chinese audience is getting more and more. We've talked about Dota kind of going over and having the international in China for the first time. We talked about an esports city being built there. I mean, every single day we talk about esports becoming a bigger part of China. And now, earlier this week, we were talking about two of the bigger esports and more being in trouble of being banned there.
Yeah, well, it's just it. So I mean, like that was the thing, and even even growing esports too, like Rainbow Six. Like I mean, there was a ton of controversy going on over there with like what was going to happen to it, if it was going to be ported out differently and all that stuff. To the point where it was almost affecting the audience over here. So I mean, like, yeah, no, it's crazy to see how much pull this market has. But I mean, that's the reality. Like I mean, like these, like you're gonna like esports are gonna go where the money is, and the money's in China because the viewership's in China. So why not continue to go there? So it's good on our end because we'd be kind of screwed as you know, podcast and esports personalities because we'd be out of a job that doesn't pay us. So but
like it's actually kind of nice. I mean, earlier this week we were going to have this on the docket. This was going to be on the show no matter what, but we were going to be talking the other way. Like these games are done. Like how can esports like kind of come back? Like where can we make that money? Where can we get that viewership? Like what can we do? But now we're good. So like this isn't as big of a story as it was originally going to be. Everything's okay. Nothing's changing right now. In the future, we don't know. Some games still maybe not banned. I'd be curious to see if any potential or kind of budding esports are going to be on that list. I mean, I don't like they never said if Call of Duty was safe. I mean, there's some games.
No, Call of Duty. Oh no, Call of Duty is not safe. Sorry, or CS:GO is safe. My bad.
Yeah. So like, there's some games that are kind of budding esports, which it could end up hurting. So maybe we'll talk about it. Hopefully, everything just stays okay. They're just 20 games that just aren't going to be there, and we don't have to bring this back up. And that China just kind of gets long because it is important to esports, and it's just going to get more important. But Dylan, do you have anything to add? Otherwise, it's just a story to kind of be a story that everything's okay in the esports world.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this isn't kind of like a precursor to something scary down the line, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, that's just one minor correction. I guess it's NetEase that operates all Blizzard's games in China, not Tencent. But it still doesn't seem like they're under scrutiny either. So we should be okay. We should be okay.
That list of 20, and if anything else happens, we'll tweet it out. We'll talk about it. We'll do a short video, something kind of like that, over these next couple weeks. So do keep an eye on that if anything does. But right now, everything seems good in the world, unless you are a Heroes of the Storm player.
Yeah.
Dylan, I mean, I played it for like 10 minutes one day. I mean, you're kind of in the collegiate esports scene. I mean, you've kind of gone through it. You had a team do well there. Like,
yeah, so I think that is definitely the biggest hit in this news. So for anyone who didn't hear, Blizzard announced just the other day that they were canceling all Heroes of the Storm esports, and that includes Heroes of the Dorm, which is one of the biggest breakthroughs for esports in terms of getting it on the main stage, because it was actually on ESPN3, which is like one of the televised ESPNs, which that was one of the first times esports was on TV. So that was like a really big deal. And it really sucks. One, because they didn't really talk about it. They just kind of they just kind of did it out of nowhere. And so a lot of people basically were out of the job. There was a lot of commentators, a lot of casters, a lot of professional players who just woke up one day and were like, well, I don't have a job anymore. Yeah. And esports isn't one of those things where, sure, maybe on like the like if you're support staff or if you're a personality, you can switch over to a different esport. But like a lot of these players, that's it for them. You know, a lot of times if you're like a tier 1 Heroes of the Storm player, you can't really expect to switch over to a different game, because that's not how esports works.
No.
Well, it's not transferable knowledge. It's like, I mean, now we're like reaction time and mechanics, like you can transfer those over. But I mean, like as far as the understanding of the game, especially Heroes of the Storm, because it's a very unique MOBA, right? Like, I mean, you can't carry all of that over to Heroes of the Storm or League of Legends and Dota. I know some of their Twitch streamers have done that. A lot of them would like jump ship and like, okay, I got to figure out another MOBA and how to play it, because I can't do anything with this anymore. But yeah, no, it's not the same, right? Like,
yeah, it's really rough, and definitely for the collegiate scene, because this was a huge deal in the collegiate scene. So the big deal about it, one of them is that they were just paying scholarships. So if you won Heroes of the Dorm, you got a scholarship for the rest of your college, which is a really big deal for a lot of students. And not only that, it's the first really well-developed path to pro for collegiate into the pro scene. I know a lot of the people who did super, super well in the first season of Heroes of the Dorm, they went on to get careers in esports and work in Heroes of the Storm. And it really sucks, to be honest, because I know a lot of students really look forward to playing in that. And there was one video, and I don't remember what his name was, but I think he was a Korean caster. It's a really sad video. He's just streaming, and he heard the news, and he's just sitting there just like, I guess I don't have a job. And then he just like starts crying on stream and stuff. And it's really sad times. And I wouldn't say it's unexpected. So Here's the Storm is definitely Blizzard's toughest esport, I would say, to kind of uphold. And it makes sense because they were putting a lot of money into it, and I don't think they were seeing the returns they wanted to. And especially with Mike Morheim leaving. Not only him, but was it his wife that was the head of esports in Blizzard, or someone related to him? I think it was someone with the Morheim name. But regardless, both of them left, and there was a lot of talk of, you know, the esports scene in Blizzard changing drastically. There was going to be a lot of shifts around. I think this is definitely one of the big ones that we're seeing, and it definitely sucks that you know, it wasn't a tier 1 esport. It's not like a tier 1 esport got cut, but it definitely sucks when something like this just kind of falls out beneath so many people's feet.
Yeah, and I think the biggest, from what I gathered from people that were like in the scene and stuff like that, is that people seen them at BlizzCon and they were reassured and told like, "No, man, it's still happening. There's gonna be equal funding, if not more, going into the new year and stuff like that." And it's not like, this isn't just me pulling it up the name. Like, these were tweets from like people who either are part of teams, who own teams, who are coaches of teams and stuff like that. And they got confirmation. They were told like, this is okay, this is still happening and stuff like that. And then and the way it's handled too, it's done in a forum post. It's put through in a forum post.
The blue post, yeah.
The blue post, yeah, the dreaded Blizzard blue post, right? So I mean, like, that's how they did it. They didn't like alert everybody or alert like the bigger names and stuff like that, and kind of let them know that this transition was going to happen. It was just like, boom, have fun. No more esports. And to me, the biggest hit is the collegiate scene. Because that was the scene that Here's the Dorm was the thing that took off. It was the thing that made it big. And yes, is it a tier 1? No, of course not. But because the game is played a certain way, it's very, very team based. That being said, though, like, it was huge for the collegiate scene. Like, having your tuition paid for and stuff like that, that's a really, really big deal. And it gives a lot of, and like, it brings new blood into the game, right? So, as having that option. So to me, it's sin. I mean, the competitive scene, like the pro scene, I'm not really totally surprised, but the collegiate scene, like, if they got rid of one and not the other, that would have made more sense to me. Like, if they got rid of the HGC and kept the collegiate scene, like, that's what would have made the most sense to me.
What would have made the most sense to me is, you know, maybe alerting everyone a little bit beforehand. Besides,
it's gonna leak.
Like,
but then you leak, because the second someone hears that, they're like, well, Here's the Storm is done, guys. They're going to post that. Someone's going to post that instantly, and then it looks bad on Blizzard. Either way, it looks bad on Blizzard, I feel like. There's no right way to end hundreds of people's careers in a minute.
Ramping it down? Like, they could have done something. Like, they could have scaled it back.
Anger coming in. You know that's not how it do. They're not going to just slowly cut back. The best way it is just to cut it cold turkey. That's the best way to cut something like this. Being
Okay, well,
I hate to see it, but there's no better way to do it.
We talked about this last week, though, with Clash Royale. Clash Royale didn't go and commit to another season. I think if Blizzard handled it and they knew this was kind of coming, because Mike Moraine's been out of the picture for like a little bit. So I mean, like, and I know he wasn't like dealing with esports, but like Dylan said, I'm pretty sure it was somebody with the Moraine name. Like, if they had said we're not going to confirm or deny it, then teams have chances to speculate. But then that's all speculation. That's all it is. So if teams decide to pull out and they have the chance and the option to pull out, then it's a clear indication that like Blizzard would be like, okay, we can safely pull out. These guys have moved on and stuff like that. It comes down to like a question of ethics, like a question of like, okay, how do you do this? Do you give the community a chance not to hate you? Because I'm sorry, like this is the problem now. You go from how they handled the HGC and the Collegiate of the Storm to Here's the Dorm to now you have Overwatch people concerned that yes, is there significant amounts of money into it? Absolutely. But this is how they handle esports.
That was about to be my next question. Like,
yeah.
In 3 years, Overwatch League doesn't pick up. It's not growing. It's just staying exactly where it is. There's no more cuts they can make. Could the Overwatch League be cut in 3 years if it doesn't start to really ramp up?
If it's cut, that's one thing. But if it's cut in this manner, that's
it'd be cut in this manner. They wouldn't just downsize teams. Like they can't just say, okay, you, and your teams are no longer in. You have to cut it dry because of those contracts. You have to kill the league, otherwise you're breaking contracts, which is part of the reason why they cut a cold turkey. Because what that contract is you have a contract in the Overwatch League until you sell it or until the league closes. So you can't just come back and say, and if they're closing Overwatch Esports, they're not going to pay them back the $80 million they pay to get in and take that spot away. You have to kill the league. You cannot just cut 1 or 2 teams. There's no ramping down a franchise. You cut it or you keep it. There's no in between.
Yeah, but I think comparing Overwatch League to
no, I agree. But I'm saying
Storm is different.
4 or 5 years from now, it's Overwatch League is exactly where it is now. It has a loyal hardcore, but it's not bringing in enough money to sustain. Do they cut it? Could that be a possibility?
I don't know. It's really hard to tell because it's all dependent on what their objective is. If Blizzard is trying to churn a profit, then yeah, they probably wouldn't even started the league to begin with. But I think what they're trying to do here is build the brand of Overwatch and build the brand of Blizzard Esports. And I think you can kind of run at a deficit for that. So I don't really see them cutting it. I could see them cutting production and all that a little bit.
Contenders too. I just saw Kate in the chat cutting Contenders.
Yeah.
Cutting Path to Pro. I mean, just cutting that off. Like we're not. You guys all figure it out yourself. Kind of like there's no like. I guess there's kind of an academy team for leagues. So maybe there's a small academy league for like the 20 teams that are in it, and everything else is cut. Like,
well, I was gonna say like franchise teams have an academy team franchise to them,
and that's
right?
all.
So
no more open contenders. No more outside of that. Just the 20 teams.
Which has killed the pro scene or the amateur scene really in League of Legends. Like I mean, once that was implemented, it's they had no choice. So what Blizzard's doing right now, I think, is a really good idea because it gives these random teams like the runaways and stuff like that, like a chance to be noticed and picked up and stuff like that, and they don't have to operate under like a franchise banner.
No, I do agree. I'm just kind of being like devil's advocate, could this happen? No, it's not going to happen with Overwatch League. It would be, with how much money's in there, it would have to kind of be hinted at for a while. And I think it'd be curious. I don't think Overwatch League will commit to geolocation if it doesn't do well this year.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's a big tell to see kind of how those home games go and stuff like that. I would love to it. I want it to be as big as it can be. I do not want the Overwatch League to go anywhere soon. I'd love to work with it and all that kind of stuff. But I think how it does in 2019 will be a big tell of how long it'll be around.
Yeah, well, it's especially with these expansion teams coming too, right? Like, I mean, how well their fan bases kind of like generate. I'm not
worried about some of these. I'm not worried about the fan base. I don't think that's where we're going to be. It's not getting the hardcore people. It's starting to reach out to more of other esports audiences and the mainstream.
Well, let's just say, I don't know how many people are going to be like myself and kind of convert into wanting to watch it and stuff like that, right?
Which I'm so excited for. We should do Project Esports watch parties for some of the bigger games.
I'd be down for that.
I'd be down for that.
Well, you'd be at every Washington D.C. game, so it can't be during that, but during other games we can watch. But anything else you kind of want to touch on this, or are we feeling pretty good about what we talked about here?
I mean, I'm not feeling good that they cut it, but
No, yes, I am beyond ecstatic that Here's the Storm is gone. No, like, is there anything else we feel like we need to touch on with this, or bring up, or talk about with Blizzard Esports? Here's the Storm. Otherwise, yeah, hope everyone kind of involved, finds something, gets back on their feet. I mean, that's rough when you kind of lose something that you think might have another couple of years and leaves. Now it's just gone. That's always a scary thought. But
yeah.
With that, I guess we can kind of turn around to kind of good news, a payoff that we've kind of been, I wouldn't say waiting for, but like been expecting for a while. So I don't know. I feel like it was like March when we talked about this story. That Immortals had been teasing. It
was April.
Huh?
It was April.
April, we were talking about in one of these episodes, is that Immortals were teasing a shoe. And it released last week. It released over the weekend, I think, on Saturday it released. And that marks it as the first official esports shoe to ever hit the market. Which I think, I mean, it's not a big story, like, there's nothing like good or bad or anything kind of like that, but they released a shoe that looks pretty cool. It's fashionable with K-Swiss. I mean, that could have been a better brand. But I think that
I'm not a fan. But
you're not a fan of it?
I'm not a fan. I don't like it. It looks like a Yeezy to me, and I'm not a huge fan of Yeezys. So I mean,
I'm still thinking about buying a pair of Yeezys. So we're on different issues with that. But I just think it's cool. I mean, we talk a lot about merchandise. We talk a lot about these partnerships, and this marks a new partnership for kind of the whole esports industry. I think it opens up when we joked about like Cloud9 Air Jordans or Team Liquid Air Jordans or something kind of like that. Like this starts to open it up, especially with like these collector kind of shoes. Like this was a very limited shoe. And things such as that, and start kind of doing that collectible, the shoe head and all that kind of stuff along with the esports. So I don't know what you guys kind of had to say or you want to touch on it. I just wanted to bring it up because we did talk about it so long ago, and now it finally came out. So I feel like we should kind of go full circle with it. But is there anything you guys see about that? Any doors it really opens?
Well, I think we already saw one of the doors open because, I mean, we already saw the partnership with Uzi and Nike. Like, Nike signed Uzi, right? So, I mean, like, I think the realm possibilities of like esports shoes and stuff like that isn't far off the line. Nike has been like, they're known to collaborate with like, you know, artist personalities and stuff like that to create shoes in general, right? So I like, it would not surprise me if like we get like an Uzi Jordan, you know what I mean? Like I think that's totally plausible. I'm really weirded out. Like I mean, like I don't know. Like Immortals is like, it's not like their brand is kind of downsized, but of course they're a part of the Valiant. So I mean, like you kind of get that cross promotion. That's the thing, that
they're very spread out. Like the Immortals are only currently in Clash Royale, but they have the Valiant,
CS:GO.
They have MIBR and CS:GO, and they have a couple other teams here and there too. Yeah. So that's not a problem, but.
Yeah, no, but like I mean, like their CEO isn't an idiot though, right? Like I mean, like this is no one knows what he's doing, right? So I think like this is there's no downsides to this. There's no downside because even if you do buy, like I mean, even if you aren't a fan of the shoe, like you can appreciate what it means for esports and fashion and that kind of thing. And now we're like, I mean, we've been focused on merchandising for like a hot minute now, and now for shoes to kind of come to that realm as well, I think this is just another win for esports.
I agree. I like it. It's a team I wouldn't expect it from, I guess. But I like it. I was just kind of looking at the shoe right now, and I'm kind of down for it. I mean, I like the colors. It's subtle, and I think this is everything we were talking about for what would be a really good like cross promotion with like quote unquote streetwear. I mean, we're kind of overusing the word a little bit, but I mean, this is it, you know? It's like mostly black with a little bit of accent color, and the Immortals accent color works really well. Shoes a little bit expensive, maybe not for like a sneakerhead. It's like 110. I mean, any upscale kind of shoe, I mean, that's about
it's that mid-range. It's like a price of like a pair of basketball shoes or something kind of now.
Yeah, it's the same as like any other basketball shoe, and I don't know, it's fine. I think it looks fairly all right. I mean, I don't think I'd get it, but
yeah, I'm happy they're not advertising it as like an esports shoe, like you know, it's meant to wear during esports and stuff like that. I think that'd be a bad
kind of way to go.
It would be a bad angle to do it. Like I'm glad they're just like, hey, we have a shoe with the team now. But like, yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Big fan of that, and it's a smart marketing ploy by Immortals too, because it's their Clash Royale team that are promoting this mainly. Like they're like bigger guy, the God RF is basically they're the one who's, I mean, of course for a Clash Royale superstar he's got a pretty memey name, but I mean like he's the one promoting it, right? So it kind of bleeds into mobile gaming too, right? So you're gonna see that. So I think. Yeah, there's no bad to this. There's no bad to the story.
I didn't expect this to be a super in-depth, like, kind of groundbreaking conversation. It's just kind of touching on something that we've kind of keep mentioning. I mean, we talk about merchandise in the ranking videos. We talk about streetwear and 100 Thieves and all that kind of stuff a lot now. So I just kind of felt like, because of how much we've been talking about and kind of looking forward to it, and bringing the the story kind of full circle is why I wanted to bring it here more than anything. And it was a little bit of a slow week, so felt like kind of throwing that in there outside of some of the bigger stories. But if I'm not wrong, this is mid-show, correct? We don't have anything else kind of going?
No, this is mid-show, my friend.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I had to close the outline and make it going. But with that being mid-show, we just kind of a friendly reminder that if any of you are listening, please subscribe with your Twitch Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, that means you have Twitch Prime. All you have to do is connect your Amazon account to your Twitch account, push the little button above Dylan's head. Dylan's head right now. Just had to switch it over. And you subscribe to the Game Haus, which gets a moat that will be going out in 2019, I promise. It helps support us, it helps support the Game Haus and everything else we do. And if we ever do any special events, we always go to subscribers first. So please do that if you can. Help us out. That does mean the world to us. Otherwise, a little personal shield. Do go check out us on Twitter. Twitter.com/theesportspod. It's where we're most active. It's where we post everything. And it's always super helpful. No matter how you listen or where you listen to us, that's kind of our main go-to place to interact with us, so do go follow us there as well. But with that, before we kind of look at our year in review, we have kind of another unsurprising story.
Do we do the face at the same time?
We'll wait. Read the headline, and then we'll do the face.
Okay, so, believe it or not, Valve and ESL are unhappy with how Facebook streaming went.
Okay. Pikachu face.
1, 2, 3.
Like, come on. We said this a second was going to happen.
Like, who's surprised by this? I read that title and I was just like, yeah, like, of course. Apparently, basically, when Cloud9 won the E-League and the Boston Major, on Twitch, the viewership was like 1.1 million people.
And it was a record-breaking for the event.
And it was yeah. And then Astros wins the ESL Grand Slam on home soil, mind you, and it's 30K viewers because it's on Facebook.
Without embed, so that could have been a little higher, sure. But, my God, not even 100,000 people.
And the worst part is it runs all the way through 2019, runs to the end of it. Like, that's scary, man. That's scary. Why did ESL do that? Whoever is running ESL is not making good decisions. They lost League of Legends. They they decided to make a partnership with Facebook. Like, I feel like this is some head just being like, I gotta get paid before I run this into the ground and then I'm out of here. That's because that's the decision making process. Because it is not thought out at all.
So this is Dota 2 and CS:GO, correct?
Yes. Yeah, those are the two big ones.
So, do we worry about this having a long-term effect on either one of these esports? I mean, do you think they'll make it through another year and it'll come back to Twitch and it'll just rebound pretty much automatically?
ESL is kind of a meme right now, anyways. Like within esports as a whole. So I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if these guys bounce right back. I don't think it's going to majorly affect them.
I think those two esports are kind of in this like weird. I don't know how to describe it, but like almost like armadillo mode of where like I think even without this they're doing a little bit rough now, but like they weren't at a high enough place that this like makes them crumble and fall to the ground. Like if something were to happen with like Overwatch League or League of Legends and this happened, then yeah, it would be like, oh no, we're in a spiral. But Dota and CSGO are weirdly strong esports. They're really resilient, and so it's kind of like, yeah, this sucks and stuff, but we'll make it through. Yeah, we've been through hard times.
And I think, if anything, that deal kind of ending at 2019, and of course there's other events and stuff kind of going on there as well too, but with CS:GO just going free to play and the battle royale we talked about a little bit last week, I think that player base is going to go up. You're going to have people taking it serious again. If anything, at the end of 2019, starting 2020, when it comes back to Twitch, at least for ESL, hopefully, and all that kind of stuff, that if anything, we could see a growth coming back into that, and maybe even seeing Valve put some more effort into Dota now that Artifact didn't go well. So clearly, I don't know, they might full commit to Artifact, or they might go back and put more time into Dota. Because they've been making changes to the esports scene there too. We see them making big, smart changes for CS:GO. I mean, if anything, maybe we see a resurgence coming down the road. Like right now, they are in armadillo mode, which is smart because they're just trying to hold on to whatever they have now until the time is right to unball up and kind of make their move. And hopefully, we do see something like that. If anything, sure, ESL is kind of a meme right now. It's a joke. It's not going well. I mean, I don't think any of us had even the slightest bit of hope. If anyone, had a little bit of hope of this Facebook deal, but it's better to go on a Mixer than Facebook. I mean, come on, guys.
For me, like, I don't even think Dota and CS:GO are even in an armadillo mode. These guys are totally fine. This is another
It's a side league.
It's a side league, exactly.
It's like a bar league, kind of much. It's kind of how this is treated right now in the esports.
Yeah, exactly, right. So for them to get heavily affected, and like it doesn't phase the esport at all. The esport's still trucking along totally fine. CS:GO is like, you know, making huge moves. Dota is like untouchable, especially with them like going to China for this upcoming international that I think it's already
TI9 next year, 2019.
Next year, yeah, exactly, right. And they're going to do fine over there too. So I mean, like, I can't even call them an armadillo mode. They're still just like, they're golden. ESL is just like it's the league that's shooting themselves in the foot, not the esports, right? Like that's the biggest takeaway.
Which is how you want it to be. Because leagues can kind of come and go, but the game's still popular, still have people playing, people still want to play it competitively. A new league can kind of come up.
Exactly.
Ideally.
Yeah, like this, I'm not concerned about either game.
Does this spell the end for Facebook streaming? Will we ever see another company try to do a deal like this with Facebook?
No, my God, no. I don't think anybody planned on doing one anyways. ESL was just like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll see how it goes. And then everybody's like, ESL don't do it, and they're like, we're doing it, and then they did it, and here we are, 30,000 views at peak.
Yeah, but I think this is probably a good time to announce that Project Esports League LLC will be launching a new esports league, and we'll be having an exclusive deal actually with Snapchat to have an Snapchat-only league. So if you want to watch, you actually have to watch it through Snapchat.
No, I think
in 10-second intervals.
Instagram TV would be such a better way to do it.
No, I know. Honestly, I don't think either one would be good. Just keep it on Twitch. There's no reason to put it on anything else.
Mixer, if you really have to, but
Mixer if they give
as
you
of
money.
right now.
There's some esports that are exclusively on Mixer and stuff like that. Like I think Gears of War is like the one that kind of like
Microsoft owned.
Yeah. Because it's Microsoft, like, and that's the only esport you see on Mixer exclusively is the Microsoft exclusive one. So I mean, if the Halo League starts doing better and everything,
God, please no. I'd love to watch Halo League, and I'm not going. I mean, I feel bad for being so mean to Mixer, but I mean, they have some cool features. But
well, what is
if
it?
You're going
they
for
have
viewership
that like
in esports, like talking about business side of it. It makes maybe for a Microsoft exclusive, it makes sense to go there because you own there. It's cross promotion. You blah blah blah. But for like a third party game, it makes zero sense to go to anything but Twitch because why would you go away from the viewership? And viewership is where money comes into esports right now. Is having that 30,000 people is hurting ESL. Even if they had 100,000 people on Twitch, without the money they probably got from Facebook to go on there, they'd be doing better.
So I actually do know the arguments against going on Twitch. And the big thing is discoverability is the biggest thing. And so if you're a game that's not super popular and you go on Twitch, if you're not in the top games, it's harder for new people to find you. Yeah. Sure, you can get those direct links, but it's harder for new people to find you, which ultimately is what you're trying to do. Now, I think if that is the issue, it would probably be better to go on YouTube, of where if you have if you have over 1,000, then it's like, okay, well, you're in the top list already. But I don't know. There needs to be another platform that's actually good besides all these.
But there's just not. Like, what was the last platform that we talked about trying to make a move? What was that? I think Dylan, caffeine. Yeah, you and I tried to get
Is it
into
still
it.
alive?
Doubtful.
Someone go
it's
to
still
caffeine.com and see if it still opens up.
No, it's probably still there. It's just
I don't. It's probably
not doing great.
Let me take a look here. Caffeine TV. Sign in with Twitter. Sign in with Facebook. Can't go anywhere further past that.
All right. Well, the website's still live at least, so that's a good sign. But yeah, there needs to be more competition there, but it'll be a while unless. I mean, I think one of the big publishers would have to go on their own. Riot or Blizzard would have to make their own. Would be the.
Wasn't Blizzard doing their own and it didn't work? Didn't they try that initially?
Well, they got the Overwatch League now.
Well, that's what I mean. Like when the Overwatch League first started, I remember that was one of the issues was that they had tried their own independent streaming website, and it looked good. It looked nice and sleek and stuff like that, but it wasn't Twitch, and that was the big thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And
okay.
The
games kicked off on Twitch, but the deal just happened like on Tuesday.
It happened very, very quickly before because it was.
Oh, but maybe preseason. I don't think preseason wasn't on it. But regular season started on it.
Yeah, but like I mean, initially there was no talks for them to confirm with Twitch. Remember that was the big thing is that nobody knew where they were going to stream, and then they started like preseason wasn't on Twitch, and then everybody lost their shit.
Yeah, and they're too tied in. But I'm saying that's the only way for someone to actually go against Twitch is pretty much Riot or Blizzard would have to full commit to that. Because that's the fastest way to get real traction on it. Because then, I mean, Blizzards have multiple esports. They think they're all under there. Riot's big enough with all the different regions to support something until they bring more people on.
Riot just did a deal with Amazon Prime. They're not.
No, I know. Neither one of them would, but that's the quickest way.
But I guess if they're like the giants. They're the ones that would go off.
But yeah, anything else? Any other stories? I mean, we have a couple of honorable mentions we can kind of go through at the very end of the show. But otherwise, let's just kind of talk about 2018. Like, this is our last episode of 2018. We'll be going into 2019. We'll be making predictions. We'll be focusing on that. We'll be looking forward. Pretty much any news stories that happened this year, we won't really talk about because we'll be looking at news stories by the time we start back up. So, what are some of the good? What's some of the bad? What's some of the ugly? I mean, if we look back to when we started about a year ago or in 2017, I mean, esports changed a ton in 2018. So I'm not saying like a top list or something like that.
So I think I have a good. I think I know the good. I think it's universally accepted. Overwatch League was the good, right?
Yes.
I mean, I think out of all the different like esports that were really ramping up and doing great things, I mean, I think we have a lot of good. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's the one shining example because it's Overwatch League doing well, right?
Well, like that was the big thing is that it was the entire beginning of the year we talked about is the Overwatch League gonna be good? Is this a smart decision? Overwatch like it went from okay, this is a really cool and competitive game to boom franchising, and that was like holy like this is happening. This is happening right now. Oh my god, right? So yeah, and I also think that franchising in League of Legends also went well. I think that's a good as well. I think it was a good and then a bit of ugly because Immortals didn't make it in, and there was like a riot from that.
Yeah, so. I think overall, I mean 2018 was amazing for esports versus 2017. I mean, in my mind, I think this was officially kind of the biggest breakout year in the mainstream. I definitely think the Overwatch League franchising, getting on the ESPN for the grand finals. I think we saw more esports on TV than ever. I think we saw more crossover between traditional sports and esports than ever. I mean, almost every single franchise team has some tie to a larger sports organization, I feel like. I mean, I really feel like the steps between traditional sports and esports are closer than ever. The ties, how the events are. I wouldn't say that they're quite at the point where they're as respected as much, but the ties in terms of business side and professional sports team taking esports seriously, I mean, I think compared to 2017, it's a whole different world.
Go ahead, Dylan. I was going to start off, but I don't want to cut you off.
Oh no, I was just going to a different ugly that I
No,
kind
yeah,
of thought
just
of.
jump around to anything.
Dude,
We're just
Yeah,
talking.
yeah. So the ugly I think is fighting games with Capcom specifically. I think is something that I was very disappointed in this year. So even though Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out in September,
And fail.
we definitely saw the fruition of what it looks like in the competitive space being really drawn out in 2018. And wow, not good for that. Street Fighter Five, very mediocre. Definitely not anything incredibly hype. But the one good thing about
Yeah.
the fighting game community this year, I would definitely say, is Dragon Ball Fighters and Sonic Fox. Those were the two things that I mean. Or the overall opinion from me in the fighting game community was definitely positive this year, just because of those two things alone. But I think Capcom really, really let me down this year, and man, feels bad. Feels real
I,
bad.
I wasn't like, I mean, like, I have mixed opinions of Sonic Fox, so I won't agree with that one. But I think Dragon Ball Fighters is like that's huge. I think another ugly was that they lost one of their biggest names and biggest pros to potential like domestic abuse charges. That he was like dropped from everything. Everybody dropped infiltration, and that's sketchy, right? So that's to me that's an ugly, not a bad.
Well,
Because
sorry. I mean, just
oh, no,
staying on the more uglies. I mean, we gotta look back at Evo. I mean, I feel like it was so long ago, but think about that Smash 4 finals and how big of a mess was that people were booing, walking out, and now that game's not in Evo next year. I'm pretty sure one of the Street Fighters were announced are not going to be in Evo next year either. I mean, we saw repercussions by.
No. That was so what you're referring to is Evo Japan,
Oh,
which I guess is perfectly fine that we know that Evo Japan is going to be an ugly regardless because they're not having any of their really big fighting games there for some reason. I think Dragon Ball Fighters isn't even going to be there for some reason. Like Evo Japan is just an absolute mess right now.
yeah, yeah. Evo 2019 has Street Fighter, Tekken, Guilty Gear, Injustice, Melee, Wii U, Smash. They might even incorporate like new Smash too. I don't know. They
I
like
hope
they probably will. Dragon Ball Fighters. So yeah, no.
But even so, I stick with that ugly of kind of that whole event being there. Is that there's been some stars in my mind. I mean, for the fighting community, Sonic Fox is getting people talking about it and talking about different things, no matter what you think about it. I mean, after that Games Award speech, regardless of where you are, I have never seen so many people talking about the FGC. Like that is
Yeah.
a big deal. No matter how you get to that, people looking at it like, who is this guy? Because his tweets, his comments, they went viral, and that introduced so many people to the concepts of esports. Some of them probably have a very negative kind of perception of it now because of what he said, but it opened people's minds. Like, why is he getting this award? Why is he on stage? What is the Game Awards? What is any of these game names? How is he making money? Why is he being recognized? Like, that at least opens up those questions on the positive side that millions of people that had never heard of the FGC heard about it that night.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I want to harp on it even more because I don't think people understand how impressive this dude is. He is good not only in one fighting game, but multiple fighting games. So he is like the best Dragon Ball Fighters player, the best Injustice player, the best Mortal Kombat player. Plus, on top of that, he's like good at Street Fighter and good at just about every fighting game. This is not a normal thing. No one is good in this many different fighting games. And like, yeah, it's a little bit different with fighting games because these fighting games skills transfer very easily because they're very similar. And
but not that easily.
but not that easily. Like no one just gets first place in multiple games like this. This is like and what I really like is it's been a really long time. I think the only other person that always comes to mind for like a modern Bonjour is Faker in esports. I think besides that, after the StarCraft days, a lot of that has really gone to the wayside. And I think this is like that's like the first thing I think of whenever I think of Sonic Fox. I'm like, he's a fighting game Bonjour right here, easily. And I think he's gonna be good for a long time, hopefully.
Yeah. Another thing I want to kind of transitioning away from that is, I mean, League. I mean, we don't talk about League and we don't give them enough credit because they're already been so big. It's already doing so well. But Worlds having a record year. They introduced a new region in Vietnam. We had
two like hit songs too. Like there's song and like I mean those blew up. Like Popstars
Katie,
like
Popstars blew up outside of esports and everyone was listening to it. That was a viral trend for a while. We had NA and EU teams doing so well at Worlds 2 for the first time in forever. But we had Chinese teams win both major events, bringing bigger interest for League in China than ever. I mean, you see so many good things coming out of League as well. We focus so much on the Overwatch League and Sonic because those are new things. Those are coming up out of nowhere. But League is still making major strides in everything they're doing every year, year after year.
They have another franchising model. The LEC came in too, right? Like I mean, introducing not one franchised region but two. That's a pretty big deal. They're the first ones to do it. They're the first ones to do two franchised areas. I mean, I guess technically you can count Overwatch like because they're global, but I mean League of Legends has two separate regions that are both franchised now, which is pretty crazy.
Unless you guys have more, another one I want to mention now to the good, bad, and ugly is Fortnite Esports. Battle Royale. I mean, this is another thing we haven't touched on yet, but Fortnite is doing over $100 million in esports prizes this year, introducing people to competitive gaming at the mainstream like nothing we've ever seen. It is a video game at a mainstream like nothing we've ever seen. Like, this is revolutionizing the world. We see it everywhere now. It is getting people interested. We now see we see esports commercials on TV now. On normal TV, at sporting events, whenever you're watching, you see things about esports now. We don't mention that at all. As big as a meme it is. As much as Fortnite Esports has so much to work on, it can be ugly. Like we saw last week with the sword and the competitive winter skirmish and all that kind of stuff. There's very bad things about it.
Hackers for days, man.
But what it has done for esports is probably the most impressive thing to me, because I have never seen such a big shift at such a large scale of people from not caring about playing video games competitively to wanting to be the best and actually seeing a path to being the best.
I think the biggest thing too is like not just what Fortnite has done for like competitive gaming, but what Fortnite's done for the like battle royale overall. Because I mean, look how many people got in on that hype train once like Fortnite really grasped it. Like I mean, we saw CS:GO and Call of Duty, two of the biggest shooters that have been around for like ages. I know we talked about how Call of Duty esports hasn't been big for a while, but like those are two really big names deciding like, you know what, we're gonna get into battle royale. This seems like a good idea, and that I think is heavily influenced because of Fortnite more than PUBG or more than H1Z1 and stuff like that, right? Like I mean, Fortnite I think is the main catalyst on why you're seeing these games make a move into battle royale.
Dylan, do you have anything to add? Any other good, bad, or ugly that kind of come to your mind?
I have one last one I think we could talk about.
Okay.
I think one of the goods for this year was there was a wonderful podcast with 3 boys on it who streamed and produced an episode every single week without fail, even when most of them were gone. They had a great rebranding. They had a wonderful following that loved them very much. I think that was good for this year.
That is something that I was going to kind of bring up at the very end.
That is us. It was us, by the way, guys.
By the way, I think a big thing that we need to. I think the biggest thing that we're looking over for goods, and I'm really surprised Dylan hasn't brought it up, is that online trading card games are getting esports now. They're like, I mean, they're. Well, I mean, like I don't
say Magic. I would say Magic.
Yeah, I don't really count Hearthstone. Like I mean, Hearthstone,
I would even go as far as say Hearthstone and Artifact were bads for the year.
For
the card game community.
Well, the only reason I say like trading card games like online is like because Hearthstone and Artifact don't have physical cards. You can't buy physical cards for those. But Magic you can. Like all the cards that you're playing in Magic, you can physically own if you wanted to, right? So I mean,
yeah, I think Magic Arena is a great thing just for the space. I think this is it's weird because online card games were going in like a really weird direction of where it was like it's becoming a little passe to make a card game based on your game or whatever. But like now they were able to take it, make a good engine and make an actual good new card game.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, no. Go ahead, Andrew.
do we have any more? Otherwise, I mean, I have one last closing one that I want to do, and I want to go through honorable mentions before that. But is there any other really big ones that we're missing out on that we want to bring up? So
Rainbow Six did real good.
Yeah, Rainbow Six had a really good year too, and we didn't mention that,
Yeah.
but they had some record-breaking nights, and they've been growing phenomenally as well.
Yeah.
But if I might, do you want to go through the last two honorable piece of mentions before we kind of start wrapping up today's show?
Yeah.
I'll start.
you.
I'll start.
I don't have that up.
Well, no, you said you, but there's two of us here, so I didn't know which you
I was
you
talking
were
to you.
referring
My
to.
bad.
I'll definitely do the one that's near and dear to me. So the Washington Capitals are putting on an NHL 19 tournament here in DC. So all caps, let's go.
Yep, and then just another one, something we didn't want to really talk about in show, but Fortnite just kind of had that whole fiasco with the winter skirmish, having that sword in the competitive play, all that kind of happened last week, and then they also just went and voted the sword right afterwards too. So those of you that do follow esports closely, I know some of the writers at TGH have covered all that, so you can go check that out there as well. But we just want to bring both those up, not major stories, but something we felt like needed to kind of mention before. But with that, we're about to wrap up the show. But something Dylan kind of teased a little bit, but I just want to really thank everyone that's kind of been a part of us and really got us to where we are right now. I mean, first off, you two, that kind of stuck with me for however long now. It's been over a year now, and you've dealt with me every single week, which has been phenomenal, and we've grown to be great friends. Everyone on social media, people that are in the Twitch chat each and every day, I never thought there'd be people that look forward to the content that I or us or we or anything that I'd ever do every single week. The messages to get, the interaction we get, like all that's better than I could have ever expected. I guess Rob and everyone at the Game Haus, I mean, they kind of helped us. I mean, they brought us into their kind of family there. They grew us there. I mean, they helped us. They send our stuff. They help us get guest hosts, and I mean, that's been phenomenal as well. But what I'm just really trying to say is that I am blown away with kind of the little community that we've built here, and to each and every one of you that interact with us and share a message and tell your friends or watch and talk to us. I mean, it's really unbelievable, and I never thought that as small as we still are and how much we have to go, and why I'm so excited for 2019, I am still doing more than I ever thought I would. So I guess personally I want to say thank you to everyone kind of involved in making that a reality, because when I put out that Reddit post, I never thought it'd be anything bigger than just three guys talking to a wall. So thank you.
Well, we talk to each other on those walls. That's how monitors work, Andrew.
You know what I mean. I never thought I'd have any. I never thought we'd get to where we are now. Is what I'm trying to say, and I just want to say I'm looking forward to 2019. We have a lot coming out still this year. Still, we have a lot to look forward to next year, and hopefully, next year is going to be a big year. And hope we're doing really well. We'll do some more live content. We'll do a lot. But before that, Dylan put a little message there. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so since this is the last official podcast of the year, I just want to let everyone know that I'm actually going to be on a panel for collegiate esports at MacFest. So that's January 3rd, Thursday at 8:30 p.m. And January 6th, Sunday at 11:30 a.m. So 2 dates there. If you guys are in the DC metro area at MacFest, I'll be there. Come check out my panel.
I'm not going to be at any live events. I'm going to be in school. You won't see me. I'll be a hermit, but I'll still be here.
He'll be here. Don't worry.
On a regular basis. No 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off. None of that.
But with that, I want to thank all of you for tuning in to the very last episode of the Project Esports for 2018. We do have 4 or 5 more shows coming out this year. An interview on the final project rankings, our prediction kings, and then our 2019 will start out 2019, obviously. But with that, thank you all so much for tuning in and being in the chat and having fun with us.